Hey guys, Assalamu alaikum. We have here with us Adeeb Zaman. He is one of our Quran Revolution TAs, and he happened to be visiting Houston, so this worked out really, really well. Before we begin, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself from the sense of like...
Quran journey?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think my Quran journey began pretty early. My dad took great interest in being Quran literate, learning Tajweed.
Your dad himself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he taught me as well as some other teachers, but he pushed me really. Yeah, he was very, he was very big on memorizing Quran and Tajweed. So I was fairly advanced in Quran at a young age. I would say it's relatively advanced because, so where the community I'm from, the Guyanese-American community, it's not really a community known for Quran, really. Like there's not much Hifdh. There's not
just
known
culturally speaking.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So if you know more than just Amma, it's considered to be a pretty big deal.
Okay.
So I was relatively advanced based on that. So whenever there were weddings, aqiqah, events, I would be reciting Quran.
Okay.
I would say from like elementary, middle, high school, into college. I think by the time I got to college, I was about maybe like 5 juz of memorization of Quran. But it was always like on and off. I never attended a full-time Hifdh school.
So these 5 juz that you memorized over the course of, say, 8 years?
Yeah, probably more than that.
Okay, so let's say over the course of a decade or so.
Yeah.
But you just did these on your own?
No, so I went to various teachers, but as I said, it wasn't any full-time program or everyday after-school program.
But it was under the tutelage of
somebody. It was under teachers.
Okay.
But it was several teachers. So sometimes we would, for example, move to a different neighborhood. So I would switch to teachers, or sometimes the teachers would come and go. So I didn't have one set teacher all these years.
So whenever you moved to, say, a different place, was it you like, hey dad, I need a teacher, or was your dad kind of more leading that?
Yeah, definitely. My father was always, he took the lead in making sure that find good teachers and good programs to enroll in.
Okay.
All right, and not just my father, but my entire family in general.
Yeah, I mean,
the grandparents as well.
So one thing that people don't know, like your family has folks that are have taken the deen kind of seriously,
yes,
right? So like your uncle, he's an imam.
Yes.
Right. And for anybody who doesn't know, you'll notice one of the gentlemen in the Quran Revolution videos, if you're in the program, his name is Adeeb Zaman, happens to be Adeeb's cousin. Yeah. So I only found out this today, just before the recording of it. So like how many members of your immediate family have, I guess, had that kind of deen-focused training?
Yeah, a good amount.
Okay.
Yeah, a good amount. We come from a fairly religious family.
Okay.
Yeah, a very religious family. We have several people, not my uncle, another uncle as well, who had, went over and studied overseas.
Yeah.
So
because I want to also differentiate the difference between somebody that could be religious, right? But like your family, they have training, right? And I think that's one of the key differences. And even like how you were sharing about your upbringing, like one of the things that a religious family might put emphasis on a kid. Okay, you got to memorize, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a family that has actual religious training, would be like, you need tutelage. And I think that's one of the differentiating factors here.
Yeah.
So, so your dad, at what capacity did his training go?
So he studied, with his teachers in Guyana, and they had some institutes and programs that he went through, and so he's not the scholar, but he's
above average.
Yeah, he's above average.
Gotcha.
He would consider above average. And so, I studied with him at the beginning as well. I would read with him and teach me the Tajweed, in addition to going to the other, madrasas and other programs.
Gotcha. So by the time you got to college, you got like 5 juz in, right?
Right.
And so what happens from that point?
So 5 juz is okay. It's not a huge amount.
That's like, like you're in the top 1 percentile now.
Yeah. But I mean, relatively compared to like, the Pakistani community, Indian community. Once I got to college, and it coincided with general like uptick in becoming more religious. So, I was like most other people. We went to the high school years.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to college in New York.
Yeah.
CUNY.
Okay.
Hunter College.
Gotcha.
Maybe like second, third year is where I started to get a lot more religious.
Okay.
Taking the religion a lot more seriously and becoming more practicing.
What do you feel triggered that?
A number of factors, but I think maybe the main thing was just being in the company of other people who were practicing the MSA.
So you just got like friends.
Yeah.
Okay, the MSA.
Yeah, the MSA.
Okay.
The
Gotcha.
MSA was a very big.
Did you look for
influence.
the MSA, or they found you, or you just kind of stumbled upon them, or?
I looked for it at the beginning, but I wasn't really attending it consistently. But then maybe like second, third year is when I really started to be there every single day, and it was a gradual process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So all right. So you're around a bunch of religious folks. MSA.
Yeah.
You got programming.
Yeah.
What happens from that point?
So at some point in college, I decided that I wanted to actually finish the memorization of the Quran. I mean, I've done a good amount already, and I want to make a goal to finish. So I started memorizing, but at the same time, once again, I wasn't enrolled in any full-time program. So I was memorizing by myself every single day.
So this time it wasn't with a teacher.
It was with teachers, but it wasn't any one particular teacher that I was sticking to.
Okay.
And going to. And most of
So describe that for me, right? So your first 5, you had a specific teacher.
Not a specific teacher. Even the first 5.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, okay, but at any one point you had a teacher.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? As opposed to like, today I'm just going to have some random teacher kind of review my subject. So what was that the case in college when you're like, hey, you know what? Or like, because I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. So it was basically, I couldn't really commit to going to an everyday program. Okay. So it would basically be like maybe once a week. Okay. So whatever I memorized for the week, I'm going to reading it. Okay.
So there was, so in that relationship, there was still a level of accountability.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they're like, all right, this is your subject, this is your week. They understand you're not going to be there full time, but like over the course of the week, whenever you guys get together again, they're going to review this, and then you got your next subject going. Yeah. So how long did it take you to finish the remaining 15?
Yeah. So I think it maybe took another 3 or 4 years.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
While going to college.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I finished off 2013 was when I finished.
Okay.
And I think that's maybe like 3 or 4 years from when I made that firm intention to finish until then. And I had some other friends who were also memorizing. Right. It was good encouragement. It was kind of competition as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Was there any level of competitive?
Yes.
Or rivalry between your buddies?
We were pretty much at the same level. And it was source of encouragement and motivation as well.
Did you guys did you have the same teacher? Or?
No, we didn't have the same teacher.
Okay.
Well, we would meet on a weekly basis.
Okay.
So, we would see, where are you at? Where am I at?
Okay.
So we would monitor each other, but we didn't read to the same exact teacher.
Now, did your group of friends that were memorizing in parallel with each other, did all of you finish or no?
I think pretty much all of us finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And now, how much do you feel that the experience of memorizing your first 5 juz carried over, at least the method, process, the habits, the rituals, how much of that carried over into when you committed to the next 15?
Carried over a lot.
Okay.
A lot, because that's where I learned how to memorize.
Okay.
What to do, how, just simple things like having one mushaf. You learn that you have your own mushaf, you don't change it.
Okay.
You memorize from one. So there's a lot of, things that you pick up.
So did you stick to the same mushaf from day one, or did you commit to one mushaf at number 6?
No, well, I think I've been through a few different mushafs because obviously, if you read it a lot, it
starts
to tear.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about more like the same script.
With the taped up covers and like...
I'm talking more like the same script,
Okay, I got
the same script.
Okay.
The same amount of lines.
Okay.
Making sure it's this uniform throughout.
I gotcha. Yeah. Several months back, I accidentally jacked a mushaf from the masjid. So I had it with me, and I guess I accidentally put it in my box when I went to Dallas. And then when I emptied it out, like, oh, the mushaf is there, right? And then now it's funny because I opened it up and some poor kids' notes were all over it.
Oh.
And you could see, like, I guess his teacher had given him like corrections and whatnot, and everything that they had to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the poor kids' homework what did your routine look like when it came to memorization? I guess that's one.
Right.
And at the same time, is like, how did your routine differ from your first 5 versus your 6 to 15?
Yeah.
Probably 6 to 30.
So the routine was basically try to memorize every single day.
Okay.
I think the main difference was I would try to memorize a certain amount.
Okay.
The same amount, like a half page.
Okay.
Or a page. And keeping consistent with that. As opposed to when the first 5 was bound by the teacher. So he might increase it sometimes, might tell you memorize this, memorize that. But I was a bit more independent.
Okay.
So I was keeping my own routine.
Yeah.
And memorizing, half a page or a page and keeping consistent.
Okay. Now, what aspect of that consistency do you feel kind of lent to you being sticking with it?
You have a certain time. You have to memorize every day. Not have to, but
like did you have a block of time? Like, all right, from 7 a.m.
after
to
Fajr.
10? Okay.
Yeah, I would memorize after Fajr.
Okay.
And that became a routine.
Okay.
After Fajr.
Now how strict was that time block? Was it like, this is non-negotiable kind of thing?
No, because I was in college too.
Yeah.
And eventually I was working as well.
Right.
So the things came up.
Okay.
Right. Things came up. I'd miss days and so.
Okay.
I think I could have probably finished maybe a year or two earlier if I was.
If you took it with the attitude of it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, non-negotiable. Right? Yeah.
Okay. Through the process, in those 3 years that you finished, what was the feedback, support, or maybe even resistance, if there was any, from friends or family?
There was none, because I was already known to be a person who, has memorized Quran, a lot of Quran already.
Okay.
Recites Quran. So, I already had that kind of, I say, reputation.
Okay.
Of being a person of Quran.
Right.
So it was just kind of like the natural next step.
Okay.
That I would finish the Quran at some point.
So, what did, support from the family look like, if there was any?
Yeah, it was generally supportive, but there was also at the same time, let me do my own,
Okay. So it's not like they helped you, but at the same time, they didn't get in your way. Okay.
Yeah. Supportive, but at the same time, this is something I'm doing.
So 2013, you finished.
Yes.
When did you become a TA with Quran Revolution?
Okay. So there's a lot in between there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, when, and then
so
what happened.
So after I finished, I think the very next Ramadan that I finished, I started leading Taraweeh.
Okay.
So
you weren't leading Taraweeh for parts of the Quran you had memorized prior? Okay.
Yeah, but it would be like one night or two.
Okay.
It wasn't like...
it wasn't like, hey, you got the first 10 nights because you've memorized 10 juz or whatever.
It was like, sometimes at the masjid, they would, once they finished the Quran, they would let some of the students, just recite the last 2 or 3 nights.
Okay.
All right, but it wasn't, it wasn't primary responsibility.
I gotcha. Okay.
But after I finished, then I started leading Taraweeh at the masjid, and actually I've been at that masjid since then.
Okay, so you're familiar with them, they're familiar with you.
Yeah, I missed a few years.
Okay.
I missed a year because of COVID.
Right.
There was some time I missed because I couldn't travel.
Okay.
But more or less, I've been with the same masjid for
and
10
this
years.
is in where?
Queens, New York.
Okay, it is in Queens. Okay.
Queens, New York.
What masjid?
It's called the masjid on the Vanwyck.
Did you, right off the bat, were you able to lead Taraweeh without assistance?
Well, when I was first leading, it was a group of people.
Yeah,
it was a group of people. It wasn't only myself.
Okay.
And actually, it's been like that. I've never.
So you guys would tag team?
Yeah. It's never been just me myself.
Okay.
I think maybe 1 year I did that.
Okay. So when you're leading, you're not. So you, out of the group of people throughout Ramadan, you might perhaps lead with what, maybe 5 or 10 juz?
Yeah.
Okay.
More or less.
Yeah. Okay. Has it? And you did that for how long?
So it's still ongoing.
Oh, you still go back to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. In between then,
So that's 2013.
Yeah.
2014, myself, my wife, and little baby, we packed up and went to Turkey.
Okay.
Istanbul, Turkey.
Gotcha.
And the primary purpose of going there was to complete an Arabic course.
Okay.
Right?
Like Arabic...
studying Arabic language.
Okay, the language of...
Arabic language.
Gotcha.
I had already studied Arabic in college. I did a minor in Arabic.
Okay.
So I was basically going there to get more proficient in Arabic.
Got it. Why Turkey specifically?
Yeah, exactly. People ask that all the time. Why Turkey? Well, at that time, there weren't much options to study I think Egypt had just about
they had the revolution. Arab Spring.
Yeah, the Arab Spring.
Yeah.
Saudi, you can't really go there unless you're entered. You get accepted with the scholarship into the university. Otherwise, you have a limited visa.
Okay.
So there weren't really much options, and actually Turkey became a good option because there were a lot of Syrians.
Okay.
Who were fleeing the war.
Right.
And settled in Turkey.
Okay.
So actually, all my teachers were Syrian.
Okay.
All my Arabic, I didn't have any Turkish teachers.
Gotcha.
So we went there to primarily to study Arabic, but I also did some Islamic studies on the side.
Yeah.
And also the Quran on the side.
Okay.
So
when you say you did Quran on the side, what does that mean?
Meaning that I was enrolled in a program.
Yeah.
And then I would read a sheikh.
Okay.
On the side.
For a certification or ijazah?
So he was actually Egyptian.
Okay.
So this is an Egyptian teacher. And I went over the primary Tajweed text to Hifdh al-Atfal al-Jazari with him. We did some other Tajweed
the classic
works, the classical Tajweed works. And I read the entire Quran to him from beginning to the end.
And how long did that take?
This was like a bit less than a year.
Okay. So you would get with him like a couple times a week?
Yeah.
And then just kind of recite, and then you would mark it off like, this? Okay.
So I did Tajweed text, and then entire Quran, and he gave me ijazah at the end.
Okay.
So that was my first ijazah.
Now, what does that look like when somebody gives you ijazah? Is it like they give you a piece of paper?
Yeah. You get a piece of paper.
Okay.
You put your name on it. There's a stamp.
So it is a genuine certificate?
Yes, it's a genuine certificate.
It's a certification?
Yes.
Okay, I gotcha. It's not like, all right, I give you ijazah, good, go ahead.
No, it's actual, and some of them are printed like with nice fancy paper. And,
okay. So there's an officialness to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you have that like thing framed up like some people put up their university?
I have it. I don't think I framed it.
Okay.
Because I've just been on the move since then.
I gotcha.
But eventually we might frame it at one point.
Okay.
So that was my first ijazah. This was the standard recitation of Hafs.
Okay.
And awesome. So we stayed in Turkey for like a little less than a year, maybe like 8-9 months.
Okay.
Finished the Arabic program, completed the ijazah, and then came back to the United States.
Okay.
And
how long was that entire period in Turkey?
About 8 or 9 months.
Oh, okay. Not even a year.
Not a full year. No.
So in 8 or 9 months, you got your ijazah. You did the Arabic program, for which you had already a minor in Arabic for. Yeah. So I'm just trying to understand. Somebody who has a minor in Arabic, what is the skill that they're able to demonstrate? So in your case, what were you able to demonstrate that a minor in Arabic?
Basic conversation.
Okay.
Basic understanding of.
Drop you in the middle of Saudi and you.
No, it wasn't at that point. It wasn't to that point, which is why I needed to continue.
Okay.
The Arabic
so
studies.
If you wanted to order a cup of coffee, you could probably do that at the time.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
Possibly.
Because 8 months doesn't seem like a long time. It seems actually a very brief period of time versus somebody who spends time in university to get a minor.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, I guess the quantity of time is more in the minor.
Not really, because when you're doing a minor, you have classes in the semesters maybe 2-3 times a week.
Yeah, but spread that over the course of what, 3-4 years?
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 years, but you're only meeting in 2 or 3 times a week, and the classes maybe like 40 minutes?
Okay.
45 minutes.
Okay, so just
as opposed to an 8-month program every day, 5 hours a day.
Okay. Oh.
All right. So this is like a full-time Arabic.
I see
program.
What you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
So and you came out of that 8-month program, 5 hours a day, being able to do what?
Proficiency in Arabic.
I'm assuming prior, right, coming to the program, it would have been difficult for you to open up a classical text and read it, right?
Course, yeah.
Whereas coming out of the program, now you can do that with not like fluency, like you said, but with relative level of ease.
Yeah, relative ease, depending on the text, of course.
Right.
There's some subjects that.
So yeah, I mean, some of them are just like super hard,
but in generally speaking, I attained a high. Good level of fluency.
Now, when you studied Arabic, was it like a specific type of Arabic?
It's the modern Fusha.
Okay. So is there a difference between classical, Fusha, and MSA? Modern Standard Arabic?
The grammar is pretty much the same.
Okay.
But there are some differences. Some words are different.
Okay.
Some expressions are different.
Okay.
But it's based on the same thing.
Okay.
And it's much more similar compared to the dialects.
Gotcha.
The dialects are like almost a different language.
Okay, I got you. Now, the Islamic studies that you were doing, was that just kind of like elective classes, or how did that work?
Yeah, that was just basically attending classes at the masjid.
Okay, gotcha. So
they had
halaqat and things like that.
Yeah, halaqat, they have some of the Syrian scholars teaching.
Anything memorable from that experience?
So we were in Istanbul, a specific district called like Fatih Istanbul, which is like the most conservative, traditional, classical area.
Okay.
So it had a very like historic feel.
Is that where Muhammad al-Fatih?
His grave is there.
Okay.
And his masjid, the masjid named after him, is there.
Okay, I gotcha.
So it's like the most conservative part of the city.
Is this like legit within the city of Istanbul, or is it more like in the outs? It is. Okay.
It is in Istanbul.
Now, when you say it's like the more conservative district, what does that mean?
Meaning that you see people with beard and turbans.
Is that a rarity?
In some parts, you don't see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the everyday people, I mean, I guess it's also a thing of culture and style, right? Like here in the U.S., it's not uncommon for men to have beards, right? And it's been like that for the last decade plus. So I'm guessing that that's not the culture in Turkey as a standard.
Yeah, Turkey has a long history in terms of secularism and a movement to actually suppress Islam.
Okay.
So there's a lot of factors there.
Okay.
Which cause some people to become extremely secular. You have very secular parts, and then you have people who are trying to maintain the conservative aspect.
Once you finish that, you come back to the U.S.
So came back to the U.S. and became very busy in teaching Quran.
Okay.
So I was teaching at an Islamic school.
Yeah.
Quran and Arabic, Islamic studies, not Arabic. Quran and Islamic studies. I was also teaching at a masjid.
Okay.
We had a 2 or 3 day Quran program, Hifdh program.
Yeah.
And I was teaching at one of the local institutes, also Quran.
Okay.
So I was very busy, just teaching Quran. I think like a year after I came back.
Describe the
children.
Okay.
I was teaching grades 5 to 11.
Okay.
So that's anywhere from 9 years old to 16 or so.
Okay.
Then in the masjid class, it was a mixture of adults and children.
Okay.
So and then there was another class, the institute, which was also a mixture of adults and children.
Okay.
So it was broader range.
When you came back, did you have the aspiration to be like, hey, you know what, I want to help teach Arabic? Or is one of those things like, hey, here's an opportunity, looks like something great. Like, how did that play out?
Yeah, that was the goal eventually. But I still felt that I needed to continue to review and get a higher level.
So for example, my brother, right, one of the things that he kind of had expressed was that when he went and learned Arabic, it helped him to understand what he had learned to a better degree when he taught it for 2 years after he learned it. And that was his intention for teaching it, at least from what I understood.
Okay.
Was that kind of like your mindset also, or?
Not an immediate intention.
Okay.
More like a down the line kind of intention.
It just happened to be a consequence.
Yeah, the immediate intention was basically as part of a student of knowledge, or a student of knowledge to learn the Arabic language, to be able to understand Quran.
Yeah.
And understand, the text, the books of the scholars and so on.
Yeah.
And then, I felt that once I got my footing in that, then teaching will come later on after that.
How much time passes between now you're teaching here professionally and then had the introduction to Quran Revolution happen?
So we still have some time to go.
Okay.
So I was teaching, as I said, in 3 different venues.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, maybe like a year after I came back, I was talking to Tayyib.
Oh.
You mentioned Tayyib earlier. And
Tayyib's his cousin, if you don't know.
Yeah, and Tayyib is big into Qira'at.
Yeah.
So he had studied the Qira'at with Sheikh Uthman Khan.
Okay.
In Canada.
Right.
And he was telling me of the program, and he was basically encouraging me to sign up.
Okay.
And so I was a bit hesitant at first, because I was like, I want to review first, make sure my memorization is a bit stronger.
Okay.
I was kind of hesitant. I thought that the Qira'at were it's a big step.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I should take that step yet.
Okay.
So I was on the fence with it.
Well, I'm curious now, is that from your perspective at the time, the apprehension of being like, all right, I don't feel like my memorization is as solid as it should be in order to engage in the Ashara training. Where did that feeling come from? Considering that you're somebody who's done it, you went overseas, you did Arabic, I've been teaching Quran and things like that.
Yeah.
So like already that, I would assume that puts somebody in your position at a far more stronger foundation than somebody who hasn't done any of that and just did Hifdh.
To be the point where, you can just hear random verses and automatically continue on.
Okay.
Have to that level.
Okay.
A very high level.
Okay. Or did you end up going?
Yeah, so I did. I mean, I thought of it this way, that it's an opportunity that I don't know is going to come back again.
Okay.
Because his program, Sheikh Uthman's program, was, I think, once every 2 years.
Right.
So, for me, it was, I could take this opportunity now.
Yeah.
If I pass it up, who knows it's going to be around in 2 years.
Okay.
Who knows what my situation is going to be in 2 years.
Okay.
So I thought that, let me just...
you really couldn't see a reason to not take it.
Let me take the jump and enroll in it. And actually, I emailed Sheikh Uthman.
Yeah. And
I told him that I'm interested in the program. This is what I've studied before, but I'm a bit apprehensive making the leap to Qira'at.
Yeah.
And he replied, just, you'll be fine.
Okay.
And he said, give me your number. I'll add you to the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
So,
what is actually needed or required to pursue that?
Yeah, you just have to have a good solid foundation in Tajweed.
Okay.
And it's not even a requirement to memorize the Hifdh, the entire Quran before. It wasn't a requirement.
Okay.
So it wasn't as difficult as I imagined it to be.
Okay. So somebody could be knowledgeable or maybe even certified in various qira'at but not be Hafiz?
That's possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not common.
It's not common.
It's not common, but it does happen.
What was that program like? Like, what did you guys do?
Yeah. So we learned the different, the usul of who does what, when do they do it.
Okay.
And we
when
would
you say who does what, we're talking about the various...
the various reciters.
Okay.
You have Hafs, Warsh, Ibn Kathir, and so on.
Yeah.
The 10 different reciters.
Right.
And you learn like what their system is.
Okay.
And who does what, where, and so on.
Okay.
And then, so that there's a theoretical aspect to it. And then there's a practical aspect, which is meeting once a week and reciting.
Okay.
In the actual qira'at.
And what did the completion of the program look like?
So the completion of the program, I think it was about a year. And Sheikh Uthman had a requirement that to graduate, you actually have to go to Canada and
sit with him?
Not sit with him, but actually attend the ceremony.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
So we drove up to Canada.
Okay.
And we took part in the
Tell
ceremony.
Me it wasn't during the winter.
No, this was in August.
Okay.
This was in August. So we drove up and we took part in the ceremony, and there was the ijazah given to us.
Okay.
In the 10 Qira'at.
Now, even in that case, they gave you a certificate?
Yeah, and it was a certificate as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
And now this is called the Ashara As-Sughra.
Okay.
Is a minor 10.
Yeah.
And there's another course after that, which is the Ashara Kubra, which is the major 10.
Yeah, Wissam calls that Cobra.
Yeah. So that next course was beginning right after that.
Okay.
But I did not enroll in it.
Okay.
And
what was the
reason why I didn't enroll in it, because we picked up and moved to Egypt.
Okay.
So myself, now we have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Myself, my wife, and two kids. We moved to Egypt. So the goal.
What motivated Egypt?
So,
What motivated Egypt?
So, my brother-in-law was there before. Adam, he went there before us.
Okay.
And I was always interested in studying Egypt, but I wasn't sure about what is the political situation.
Right.
Is it suitable for a family to live?
Right.
Well, he went there like maybe a year or 2 before.
Okay.
And he checked it out, and he said everything was good.
Okay.
Everything is fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so, we decided to go.
Gotcha. And what was your objective there?
So the objective was more like Islamic studies.
Okay.
To reach a higher level of Islamic studies, pursue further advanced Islamic studies.
Did you have any kind of particular focus or specialization, or was it general?
More general. You first start by studying everything.
Sure.
And then afterwards, once you've reached
like an intro to all the various sciences.
Once you've reached intermediate level, then you pick your specialization. I went there and so I enrolled in one of the there's like a private Azhari institute.
Okay.
That I enrolled in. It was a 4-year program.
Yeah. I
actually finished that. I graduated from that last year. Later on, I also enrolled in Al-Azhar University.
Okay. So one's I guess the equivalent of a college just affiliated with Azhar.
Yeah.
And then the second one was actual Al-Azhar University itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a private institute, but all the teachers are all Azhari and they follow the same curriculum.
Oh, okay, I got you.
But the benefit in that is that it's not restricted by the university system. Is a bit restrictive.
Well, you have all of the red tape that goes along with it,
and sometimes you might study a particular text, but you don't finish it. There's not enough time left in the semester.
Right.
So a lot of the students, they go to these private institutions.
Okay.
Because they're more. You can do a lot more. We went there in 2017.
Yeah.
We're still there actually.
Okay.
So we're here in
you're still enrolled in the program. Yeah. Okay.
No, I finished that program. I'm still enrolled in Al-Azhar, but I'm doing that online right now.
Okay. Like remote learning.
Yeah, but we're still going back to Egypt.
Okay.
After. So we're here in an extended stay in Houston.
Yeah.
And then once we're ready to travel back, maybe like in a few months, we'll head back there.
So now I'm curious, what was the pandemic experience like? Were you stuck there or?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay.
And actually I started Quran Revolution during the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Egypt?
In Egypt.
Okay.
Yeah. Primarily went there for Islamic studies, right?
Okay.
But I also did some Quran as well.
Okay.
So I read to one of the local shuyukh in one of the masjids.
Yeah.
And I did another ijazah with him, basically.
Okay.
The institute I was studying with, there was a Quran component there. One of the classes was a Quran class.
Yeah.
And their requirement was to finish the Quran, memorize the entire Quran.
Yeah.
After 4 years. Okay. So you would read basically like 7-8 juz a year.
So what is the situation of somebody who is already a Hafiz?
Well, that's the advantage I had.
Okay.
Which is that I didn't have to take that, hours of time.
Go into that level of intensity because you're doing that on top of everything else.
Yeah. So that was that's one of the biggest advantages I had.
Okay.
That before I went, I already finished my memorizing the Quran. I already had gotten a good proficient level in Arabic.
Okay.
So I was able to benefit a lot more and not have to, spend the time to memorize the Quran because that takes a lot of time. A lot of students didn't finish.
Because of the...
because it takes a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Because you're studying and then you have to do that as well.
So, I mean, I'm just curious, like what percentage of students do finish in a program like that?
Well, this program actually, we started maybe like 60, 70 students.
Okay.
And 10 graduated.
Oh, so the other like 50 to 60 just dropped out.
Dropped out or they got kicked out.
Oh, they got kicked. Okay, so like if they get...
there was exams and things like that. So
okay, so they're... Okay.
Attendance.
I got you. Yeah. I got you. So even if you're attending, you're trying hard, but you just can't cut it, you get the boot.
Yeah, you get the boot.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's got to be rough. Okay. Yeah. But so the genuine advantage of going into sister program. So I guess for you then, is that the portion of time that somebody would have dedicated to actually memorizing, you got to spend that, I'm assuming, for review. Yeah,
review and pursuing other studies as well.
Okay.
I don't think I would have been able to finish that.
Okay.
If I didn't memorize the Quran before, I would have been very, very difficult.
Now, did they in any way indicate that, hey, look, you're going to have a much easier time if you've already memorized it once before? Or did they just be like, look, it doesn't matter, you're going to memorize it at the end if you stick with the program? Or was it more like that attitude?
No, it was just, this is the requirement of the program.
Okay.
You have to memorize.
So they didn't care whether or not you did anything prior?
No.
Okay.
They didn't really care.
So it's just kind of implied that if you know it, at least some...
But even then, it was still a difficult program because it was cumulative.
Okay.
So it was like a subject that we're studying.
Yeah.
So we would have to read like 2 or 3 times to the sheikh.
Yeah.
And then every month he would have us review everything we've read to him before.
Okay.
So you have to be prepared for everything you've read to him.
Yeah.
You have to be tested on that. Not necessarily reading everything, but like a random portion, a random ayah.
Okay.
And then continue after that.
Gotcha.
And there's a 4-year program and there's 2 semesters. So each semester has an end of course exam.
Okay.
Where you're being tested on everything that you've recited prior.
Okay.
So by the end of the 4 years, you're being tested on everything.
Gotcha.
So it still was fairly difficult.
Okay. Now you're still enrolled in that same program right now, or?
So I finished that program.
Okay.
And actually, so when we finished that Quran program, we weren't expecting ijazah or anything like that.
Okay.
But when we finished, the sheikh surprised us and he gave us the ijazah.
So you ended up with 2 ijazahs in Hafs al-Asr.
So 3.
Because
okay, 3. I was reading with another sheikh at the local masjid.
Okay.
So that would be my 3rd.
What is the value of having multiple ijazat in the same thing versus then I guess it's that the other thing came in is like maybe it's not about the value of the ijazah, but more so about the honor of it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's about the honor, but I think in my particular case, the first ijazah that I did, I didn't read from memory.
Okay.
I was just reading from the mushaf.
Okay.
From beginning to the end. So it was more like a Tajweed ijazah.
Okay, so that instructor basically said, all right, I approve this guy in terms of the sense that he knows how to recite it, and I've heard him recite the entire Quran cover to cover by looking.
Right.
A ijazah like that would also mean that, hey, I certify you in the sense that you can go teach people how to recite.
Yeah.
Not necessarily qualify them in memory.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the first ijazah. So I wanted to get the one where I'm reciting from memory.
Right.
So that was motivated me to pursue the second one.
Okay.
And the third one was, I wasn't expecting ijazah to begin with.
Okay.
It would just, that was just part of the program.
So what was the difference between the second one and the third one?
The second one was just me reading to one of the local mashayikh.
Yeah.
It's maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. And maybe it took like 2 or 3 years to complete.
Okay.
Maybe like reading 5 to 10 pages every week.
Okay.
And then once I finished, then that was the ijazah there.
Okay.
The other was the actual like a formal program where there's exams and there's semesters.
Yeah.
And it's like a subject amongst the subjects that we're studying, hadith and
Okay.
fiqh.
Okay.
It's a subject.
Okay. Do you complete the program and then while you're still in Egypt or?
Yeah, so still in Egypt, and so I'm in the last year of Al-Azhar right now, finishing that up.
Yeah.
And then there's a possibility we might stay on, pursue further studies, possibly.
Now, when you're at Azhar, are you enrolled in something like a bachelor's or a master's?
Yes, it's a bachelor's degree.
It is a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And what would that bachelor's degree say on a resume? Like, what would like a bachelor's in what?
Yeah, so it's going to be a bachelor's in Arabic and Islamic studies.
And the idea that you're kind of playing with is now to do a master's?
Possibly.
Okay.
No firm decision has been made.
Got it. Now, in between all this is when you got introduced to Quran Revolution.
Yes.
How did that go?
Yeah. So this was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So first, my brother-in-law, Adam, who's another TA, who you've interviewed before as well. So he knows Sheikh Walid Basuni.
Okay.
So Sheikh Walid Basuni recommend him to apply for the program.
Okay.
And then my mother-in-law, she told me, why don't you apply as well?
Okay.
So I was a bit hesitant at first because I wasn't sure I'm not going to have the time to be able to dedicate. I don't know what is the required timings. And I was also teaching at another online school.
Yeah.
During this time as well.
Okay.
So I was kind of a bit hesitant at first.
Yeah.
But then ultimately I decided that it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And these opportunities don't come often, especially for students. There's a lot of students who go to like Egypt and places like that, and they teach English and they have to go out and work.
Yeah.
So the opportunity to have like something online is ideal. So it was, it's too good to pass up.
What did that interview process look like? And for you?
Yeah. So I sent in my resume.
Yeah.
They looked at it and then they contacted me, and she wanted to set up an interview. And I told her that, I'm in Egypt. Can we do it over Zoom?
Yeah.
And we had the interview. And pretty much right there, during the interview, it was already pretty much established that I would be joining the team.
Now, what was your experience in both the process of being hired with Quran Revolution as a TA, as well as the people that you engage with regards to you from your capacity as a teacher to your students? How has that differed from your past experience in terms of being hired and onboarded with other institutions and your interaction with the students there?
Well, obviously, everything else prior to this was face-to-face interaction.
Right.
So that's the major difference.
Okay.
Also, the previous teaching was mostly young adults, young adults. And there were adults as well, but it was not the primary focus.
Okay.
But here in the Quran Revolution program, it's primarily adults.
Okay.
That we are, teaching.
Got it.
And enrolled in the program. There's the level of you don't have to worry too much about motivating them. They're, for the most part, self-motivated.
Yeah.
But of course, everyone needs to
encouragement
and to be re-motivated sometimes.
Right.
But that's, I think, the main differences.
And how long have you been a TA now?
I started in 2020.
Okay.
So this is going to be about 3 years now.
Okay.
3 years.
How has your capacity with what you do, has it evolved or changed, or is it how you started? Is essentially the same thing you're doing now?
So when I first started, I was mostly doing the year one program, which is like giving feedback to the submissions.
Okay.
And that was actually, very convenient for me because it doesn't require to be present at a certain time.
Okay.
You just have to
Just the flexibility.
Respond. Yeah, the flexibility was, alhamdulillah, it was very, very beneficial for me.
Okay.
Studying in Egypt.
Yeah.
So that was at the beginning. Mostly that. I think maybe like a few months after I joined, invited me to also join the year 2 team.
Okay.
So the year 2 is a bit different.
So year 2 TAs.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a different group of TAs for year 2.
I think some of them are...
Or some of them overlap.
There are some overlap.
Okay.
But there are some who are exclusively year 2.
Okay.
And there are some who are exclusively year 1.
What did you find was the difference between the two groups, essentially, among the TAs? Did you see a difference or anything? Particular?
Not sure. I think maybe the main difference would be like just availability.
Okay.
Because the year 2 you have to have set timings.
Okay.
There's appointments.
Okay.
That's the main aspect of being a year 2 TA is that you have.
So there's, as a TA for year 2, there's seemingly less flexibility on your part.
Yeah, there is less, but it's still very flexible.
Okay.
Because we still choose the timings that we are available.
Okay,
I would tell them that I'm available this time, and they will work around that.
And then these times are for what?
So these are for one-on-one appointments.
Okay.
So in the year 1 program, there's no real one-on-one.
Yeah.
You're recording your feedback.
Yeah.
And then you're listening to the recorded. You're recording your submission, and you're listening to the recorded feedback.
Okay.
So
this is like office hours.
There's office hours. Yeah.
But this is one-on-one.
This is one-on-one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one-on-one.
Okay. And what kind of I guess inquiry comes from the students in these appointments that is different from, say, year 1?
Yeah. So in year 2, they've obviously learned all the Tajweed rules.
Right.
So the focus is now mainly on memorization.
Okay.
So the memorization is a big aspect.
Yeah.
Of the year 2 program, and so there's a schedule of the verses that they should be memorizing each week.
Yeah.
And basically what they're going to do is they're going to come and recite those verses, and practice for the next set of verses for the next week as well.
Okay. So are all of the TAs that are in year 2, are they all Hafidh?
I believe so, but
Okay.
I haven't looked into each TA. I don't know.
Or at least I would assume they've at least memorized the portions that year covers.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can say that, yeah.
What has been your most standout memory with these students from both year 1 and year 2?
Okay, so year 1, so I'm mainly teaching like level 3, level 4. I think the most standout memory are like the students who, we don't really see them, but you can tell, like sometimes they write comments, like, and express their joy.
Okay.
How much progress they're making. All right. And I oftentimes as well have students who I've taught in year 1.
Yeah.
And they come in year 2 and they continue on with me.
Okay.
So there's like that progression and consistency.
Okay.
Of those students.
Now, before you joined up with Quran Revolution, were you familiar with it and or Wissam?
I knew Wissam.
Okay.
I heard about him. I maybe attended a few of his lectures. And
okay.
Not attended his classes, but some of his lectures, conventions, and so on. So I was familiar with him. I was not too familiar with Quran Revolution.
Okay.
For some reason, when I first heard of it, I thought it was like more like Quran memorization program. I wasn't. I for some reason I didn't know that it was Tajweed.
Okay.
So I wasn't familiar with it. I would get the emails.
Yeah.
Actually, I still get the emails today. It's kind of funny because
I
get the marketing emails and it tells me, why don't you sign up for Quran Revolution? And I'm a TA, right?
right.
So I would get the emails from Al-Maghrib.
Yeah.
But I never really looked into the program itself. So I wasn't, I didn't have a clear idea of what the program was.
Okay. When you got onboarded and you saw the style and method of teaching, what went through your mind? I know from my perspective, having gone, like I personally studied with a teacher with regards to Tajweed and stuff, but then coming to Wissam, it was just like, I was like, I could have just gone straight to you, dude.
Yeah.
You know, the way that he bypassed all of the traditional classical vernacular, and just kind of Americanized it. Mm-hmm. How much of that facilitated you as a TA versus your experience teaching Quran prior?
It was a big difference.
Okay.
And it made teaching much easier.
Okay.
Because there are these terms, right, that we have, the awesome, happy terms, that we've been like looking for terms like this when we're teaching, but we never thought about terms like this.
Okay.
But we've been trying to explain these terms to students. Yeah. Using the Arabic or using other, sometimes we say heavy, flat, light, you have these other terms, substitute terms. Yeah. And then we got to, then I, joined the Quran Revolution team, and then we have these clear terms that, match exactly what we're trying to explain. Okay. So it made the process of, teaching and explaining much easier. And I think the process of learning as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
how much time did you feel like you might have spent prior when engaging with a student, specifically an adult student, when you're trying to communicate to them the idea of mukhaffam and muraqqaq or qalqala or so on and so forth, as opposed to like now be like, yo, this letter bounces.
Yeah.
Right. Or it's like you said, it's heavy or light.
Yeah.
Awesome or happy.
I think it's a big time difference. It's more like having to keep repeating it as well.
Okay.
Because you feel that they don't quite understand.
Okay.
The terms you're using. Because the terms don't really match. Like
Okay.
when you say heavy, what does that really mean? Right? Light, what does it mean?
Yeah.
All right. Round, flat.
Yeah.
So the terms don't quite match. So you find yourself having to kind of repeat it, often over and over and over again until they understand it.
When you engage with students, like outside of the joy that they've experienced, what are the unique things that students have engaged with you on during all of these, I guess, virtual interactions? Because, they are, right? They're, whether it's office hours or the live sessions or the reading circle or the one-on-ones. One of the outside of, hey, this is great, and you see that it clicks for them, what are some like memorable moments that really stand out for you that kind of, to you, really define the value of what Quran Revolution is?
I would definitely say the students who this program allowed them to have an opportunity that they would not have gotten outside of the program. So, like, for example, we have a student who is retired, right? He's much older brother. And, there's no programs for people like him. And, he tells me all the time that he's so happy that he found a program like Quran Revolution. He's not going to find something like this outside.
Yeah.
So, it's this reaching those students who would not have these opportunities except through a program like this.
Okay.
That is tailored for them, that is flexible, that allows them to progress in the Quran studies, and they're not going to find these programs anywhere else.